Computer networking is an essential topic for any information technology professional to understand and grasp its basic concepts. Without networking, we would be just working on a standalone machine, with proprietary access to resources, and with no internet, no emails, and no websites. Networking is what makes all this possible, and for those who don't really understand what it is, this video is an initial step that would help you recognize some terms that are in the core knowledge of networking. This is a top 10 list of the terms that I believe people should know about networking. The first term is IP address, which stands for Internet Protocol Address. For computers to be able to communicate, they need a way to identify each other, and similar to what humans have, computers have addresses. Instead of a phone number, a computer has what is called an IP address. It is a number made up of 4 parts, referred to as bytes. Each IP address on the network has to be unique so that information reaches its right destination. Similar to having phone numbers divided by countries, networks have to be divided, where for example each organization would have its own network, or subnetwork. This brings us to the second term, which is called Subnet Mask. In order to identify to which network an IP address belongs to, a subnet mask is needed. It is a number which is of the same length as the IP address, and using logical operations, one would be able to tell the network that the computer belongs to. Now that we have different networks, in order to communicate between them, data needs to be routed using devices that understand IP addressing. Routing is normally done through routers, or other devices with similar capabilities. Those devices put the data that is intended to a specific computer, on a specific route that is configured by the administrator of the network. If the destination of the data is not recognized by the router, then it could be sent to a default IP address or just discarded. Routers are needed to manage data transfer between networks, but for data transfer between devices that belong to the same network. Another term comes up, which is switching. Switches are devices that are capable of transferring data between computers on the same network. Those devices can normally connect a large number of computers, and allow for big data transfers. In order to identify computers on a network, switches use another kind of addressing, which uses MAC addresses. A MAC address, or Media Access Control Address, is a unique number assigned to a computer's interface. Those addresses are harder to change, and are uniquely assigned by the vendor of the network card on a computer. To create a form of separation within a network, like having separate departments inside a company, a common term is used, namely virtual networks or VLANs. Each group of computers will have its own VLAN ID, and computers from different VLANs won't be able to communicate with each other, unless other settings have been configured. Another widely used term in networking is called Ethernet. This term refers to a range of technologies used in the local and bigger networks. These standards have normally specified the bandwidth of connection, which is how much data can be transmitted on a medium, which increased with time and new advancements in transmission media. A very common networking term is called the OSI model, or the Open System Interconnection Model. This model is a concept that shows how communication happens between two computers. It has 7 layers that data goes through when being sent and received. For example, the IP addressing discussed earlier resides on the 3rd layer of the model, while the MAC addressing is on the 2nd. In addition to the OSI model, another model is a widely used term in networking, which is the TCPIP model. This model has the same concept, but instead describes 4 layers used in communication. It is made of 2 protocols, which are the Internet Protocol discussed earlier, and the TCP or Transmission Control Protocol, which is used to provide reliability to the transferred data. The last term that is important to know is VPN, or Virtual Private Networks. When transmitting data on the Internet, there is a risk of getting our data captured and manipulated. VPNs solve this problem by using authentication and encryption, which provides confidentiality of the data. Getting to know those terms is a first step, and each term has its own set of related terms that go further into explaining it, or introduce new concepts in the field of networking.